Hi there guys, it's Alec here, and we found a lot of benefits in the index function. Really does help a lot, and especially if you combine index with a match function. So I thought I'll just quickly share some of the ways that you can use this function in your formulas in Excel, whether that's in a normal sheet or whether that's more in a table formula environment or in a data table environment. You can use it either way. So I think the first thing when you work with the index is that the index function actually needs a row and a column reference. So any spreadsheet ultimately works in a coordinate fashion, meaning that you need to give it a row reference and a column reference. So for instance, this cell over here is C6 and this one E9. Right, so if you were to start typing the index function, it ultimately gives you a referencing table here, or a referencing guide, that's some helpful tools to just tell you how the formula works. So ultimately it says give me an array or a reference. So I'll show you now what an array is, and then it says after you've given me an array, give me a row number, which I just showed you. A row runs left to right, and after that give me a column number. So it's in square brackets purely because it doesn't need to have it, but if you're going to start working in arrays you probably would want it. So I'm going to show you an example now. So I've done a little data table here. And this table, or this rather, let's not call it a table just yet, this flat piece of information basically is just a random list of names and surnames. And what I've kind of like put down here is the leaves taken by each of these individuals. So it's 30 individuals, so employees. I'm given just a sequential employee number to them. And they've taken random days of leave over a 12-month period over year. That's month 1 to 12, and that totals their leave. And it's kind of like a random days per month that I've indicated to them. Right, so what you'd now find is if you wanted to identify how much of leave, let's say employee number 15 took, there's a few things that you would want to see. And you would want to see, well, how much days did Larry Velez take in, let's say, month 5? So now if you go year, you see it's 2 days. How much did employee number 27, Alana Hicks, take in month 8? So now you would go across and you'd pick up that reference over there and over here, and you'd see where they cross 3. Right, so but you can imagine how kind of inefficient this kind of searching is. So that's where index helps a lot. All right, so you can now say, well, let's first go and say equals index, and it says, well, what is then the array you want? Well, the array I want actually sits over here. I want to find something in this array from month 1 to month 12, but I want to actually lock this for now. So I just press F4 and I get that as a locked reference. Right. What row number do I want to give? So let's say now we know what our row number is, because our employee number is actually the same. So we're going to give that number as we want it. We're going to say, well, employee number 1 for now. Well, we know the month is 1 to 12. So in month 1, so check what happens. Gives us a number 3. Right, now we can go and say, well, actually we want employee number 12 in month number 6. And we'll say 6. All right, 0. So let's go and see if that is correct. Month 12, employee 12 in column 6. So column 6 over there, and employee 12 over here, and 0. All right, so that gives you an easy referencing guide in an array. But let's, add a little bit of kind of a indicator for us here. Let's say this is the leave days over here, leave days, and let's also go and call up something like the employee name. Right, so in the employee name instance, you can do the same thing. You say, well, in this reference actually indicates from E3 over there up to P3, or up to column P. So the name hasn't been included. So if I were to expand this to column C, suddenly I can now either increase the array, that's one way of doing it, or I can rewrite this and say, I just want to see something, index only this name for me over here. Again, I'm going to lock it, F4. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to give you the row number. Let's say it's going to be 1, and I'm going to say, which column do I want? Well, there's only one column, so I don't even have to give it in this instance. So I can even just close it off there. So it'll always just give me the first reference. Then I can put here at the top an employee number. Right. So I can say, instead of adding this as a number here, I can say, give me, that is my employee number over there. Okay, now it's giving me an array number here. So an array means it's going to actually spit out all of the answers. Okay, now the reason for this is actually because an array formula, which index is one of them, would be able to give me the entire number. I haven't given anything here, so it's going to give me all possible answers. Alright, so now if I go and I do this, you'll see actually the answer would be, it would be given, I'm just going to go back to this row environment, it's also going to happen here. Now if I give a number, just give me employee 1, it'll change over here. So now it's heaven, let's give me employee 30, and let's give employee number 4, and you'll see this starts changing. I can also say, well, this is my row, and I can also put my column over here, so that would be my month, right? So let's also update this little number over here. If we say I want to give you this number, if I give nothing, it's probably going to go to the right, as you would see, because there's an array. We've said to it, this is the array, so it'll give you all the answers. So now you can decide, well, I actually want to now only give employee 5, and it'll show you all of its numbers, but you can also say, no, month number 5, and it'll change that to just month number 5. Give me month number 7 for employee number 24, and it'll change. Give it to 22, give it for 26. So you'll see this starts updating as we update all of these numbers. So you'll see that just by the way, it was actually pure luck that this was, all of them were 3, but just to test it in for your reference purposes, if we go 2, 3, you'll see it does change. So it was pure luck that it stayed 3. But that's a way in the index function that you can easily look across a whole field of data, a whole table of data, and you can easily find answers by using a row and a column reference inside of this formula. And just remember, it's an array formula, so don't get a fright when you put nothing in there that it starts populating towards the side, or nothing in the row. What do you think will happen now? It'll populate the whole table here for me. Right. So next time we'll do a index match function to show what does match do in this instance, and how does it help us to quickly find data from an array. Now remember, this is a fairly small piece of data. This is only 30 lines with 12 columns, 30 rows. But if you go into bigger data sets where it may be 1,000 or 10,000 rows and 50 columns, ultimately that becomes extremely difficult, and that's where this really does help a lot. The only important identifier that you always need to consider is, do you have a unique code, a unique identifier, so that you don't have duplications. So searching a name or searching a surname is not always the best. Searching some kind of a unique reference like an employee number would always be your best option when it comes to searching. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed that and that's been helpful. Thanks, see you next time.